G'day, Couch Critics. It's Sogg here, and I'm with Bradley. But you can see we're no longer on the bench together. In this episode, we're going to be chatting a little bit about the Socceroos and maybe even touch on the Matildas' performance in the last week or so, and give you our views on, the absolute shambles that's happened. Before we do get there, it's been a while since we made a video, and we thought we'd just update you why we're on Zoom and why it's been a little bit of a break. So obviously there's a bit of a new scene for me. I've moved away from Bathurst, heartbroken, and terrible. I've moved to Sydney, which means I'm nice and close for football games, which is brilliant, but does mean that it might be a little bit less couch critics together on the couch, that's sad.
Well, I don't think we've uploaded a video for about 3 weeks, so that's probably that's the reason why we haven't uploaded. So we haven't forgotten about you. It's a lot harder now, but we'll try and get a few videos out in the next few weeks,
and we'll continue to talk general garbage about all things Aussie football. So
it might just not be as regular as it once was when we were both in Bathurst.
Hopefully we can still get them out once a week or so. So we'll see how we go with that. Excellent. Let's jump into some chat about Aussie football and talking about national teams. Obviously, we're talking the day after the terrible morning performance. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I actually, at this point in time, I haven't actually watched the match because Paramount Plus take forever to upload replays, which is super frustrating still that we're at this point. I woke up at 7. It's 2 hours after the game's finished. No upload. So I haven't actually watched the game, but I've seen enough reactions, seen a little bit of highlights and stuff to know a little bit. But Bradley, you have seen some of the game?
Yeah, I woke up. I don't know. I have this weird body clock when my football teams are playing. I just wake up and check the score. And I checked it, and I think it was 1-1 at one stage. Then I woke up at 2-1, and I watched the last 12, 13 minutes. And yeah, it was pretty disappointing. The penalty decision. It's so soft. It's just not a penalty. It's just ridiculous. But anyway, the decision was, and just the reaction from it was just to hoof long balls, put crosses in. There just didn't seem like urgency from me. From the team. And I don't know. I think once Oman equalised, I just think we had no idea what we were doing. And it was really hard to watch. Although I can't really remember that much because I was half awake. But yeah, on going off that win we had against Vietnam, that was a really good win. We played really well. Tommy Rogic was on fire, and I thought, and I think we had a fairly similar team. I think Arzi Baich was the only change. I can't remember off the top of my head. McLaren, another goal, Aaron Moy with a banger, but just it's really disappointing. And especially after seeing Japan beat Saudi Arabia, we knew we had to win in order for that game in Sydney for us to jump them. And now it's just become a whole lot harder to qualify directly, which is really disappointing. A lot of issues going on at the moment for the Socceroos and the Matildas. I'm sure we'll touch on the Matildas, but the Socceroos, it's just, I don't know. It's dropping points against teams we should be beating. I mean, we drew with Saudi Arabia and we lost to Japan, and I'm not going to get too critical on those ones because those kind of teams are at our level or maybe slightly better. But it's the draw with Oman, it's the draw with China. Those games that we really should be beating. I mean, there's no crowd in Oman. There's no, I know we've played in Oman in the past and we've had a pretty rough time with the crowd, but that was not an excuse. This morning, China, we played them on a neutral venue, which we did the first time we played and we beat them 3-0, so there should be no excuse for another win. I mean, no rudeness towards Vietnam, but Vietnam beat China, which is massive for them. So congratulations to Vietnam, but come on, we should be beating China.
Yeah, so I guess we can't do too much of a deep dive into the performance because neither of us have watched the full game. Yeah. But maybe a bit more of a chat on just the overall issues with Australian football at the moment. And this Socceroos squad under Graham Arnold, there's been lots of discussion about him as a coach and the style of football, but also just the talent pool that we have to draw from. I mean, you're talking about their that Japan and Saudi are probably at our level, if not a bit better. I would say they're actually much better when you look at the technical qualities of some of our players at the moment. Just aren't quite at the same level as your Japanese or your Saudi players. And countries like Oman, well, they're actually producing technically really good players where I feel like we're missing a lot of that at the moment. And maybe some of that has to do with our best players aren't actually playing regular football at good levels, but also the gap between our best players and our squad players is actually quite stark. When you're looking at our options to replace Aziz Behich, and look, I love Joel King. I think it was fantastic. He did a really
He played
good job.
really well.
Yeah, stepping in as left back against Vietnam. But for him to be our essentially second or third choice left back for the national team, you got to wonder what's going on. Like, what happened to Alex Gersbach, who a couple of years was looking like the next big thing. There just seems to be a bit of a gap in our development pool at the moment, which is really disappointing, seeing as the A-League's been going on and we're seeing A-League players come through, but they're not quite the same quality as the nations around us.
Yeah, I'll probably differ a bit from you. I think maybe Saudi Arabia and Japan might be slightly technically better than us, but I think on paper we're better than Saudi Arabia, and we're probably matching it with Japan. I just think Saudi Arabia and Japan and even Oman have been really well coached. I hate time wasting. I absolutely deplore it, especially when we played Saudi Arabia and Sydney. But we never do that. Like, this is World Cup qualifying. We haven't got it's not a 30-game season long campaign. Oh, you lose a game, you've got another 25 games. We've only got 10 games. We really can't afford errors. And when to go up 2-1 in Oman away from home, we should be time wasting.
That's when you should be hooping the ball.
Yeah, and we should be an absolute menace to play. And this is the thing with Graham Arnold. I think at a club level, he's exceeded really well. I think he's a great club coach. I think, a longer season, I think he's, some coaches are good at a national level, some are good at a club level. I don't think Graham Arnold's that good at a national team level. And yeah, I just like when I watch Vietnam, when we played Vietnam, we won comfortably in the end. I think hands down that was the right result. But sometimes I just felt like there's a lack of passion in going hard. Like I watched when we played Saudi Arabia, they gave it their all. They were going so hard, and they got the result they wanted. And for sometimes I feel like we might lack a bit of passion, and we don't have that niggle of time wasting and being a menace for other teams. When you're trying to wind down the clock, we don't do that. And I know that the general population of Australia that doesn't really like football kind of hates the time wasting, the diving, but we need to do it. Like we should be doing that. We should be being a pain in the ass for the other team. But anyway, I've gone on a bit.
Yeah, well, on that point, I saw a Twitter thread, and I can't actually remember who posted it just at this moment, but they're actually talking about, when Matt Ryan was questioned after the game, they said, do we just need that fighting spirit? And
that's bullcrap.
Well, this thread talked about the Socceroos and the Matildas and our whole Australian football culture has been built on this fighting spirit, as if we're the only ones who have that. And it's just not true. Every team has fighting spirit. But trying to market these, never say die teams to the Australian public so people get on board. And that creates this attitude of, as long as they play hard, they're giving it their all, then that's good enough. But it's just not. And I think actually the attitude is fine. I think the Socceroos do try and play hard and they do fight. That's not the issue. It's that you can fight all you want, but if you don't have the technical ability or the right coaching, like the tactical nous to figure out how to break down a difficult team, you're never going to get anywhere. We can lump the ball into the box for 90 minutes and fight with them, or we can figure out tactically and develop players who are skillful and good to actually defeat teams with football. And I think that's what we're missing at the moment. I don't think the squad is built to actually rip teams apart like they should.
Yeah. And I think with a proper coach, I think that's fine. I mean, I think Oman was set up really well. I don't think individually they're not a really good team. Their players aren't really that good. But when they're well managed, I think a lot of teams can play a whole lot better. I just don't think Graham Arnold's the man to qualify us for the World Cup. I mean, if he does, well, hats off to him. I just can't see it.
I think something important to remember as well is that last World Cup, Ange got us there, and he got us there through the playoffs. So similar.
Did Ange resign before that, or
before the World Cup? We were qualified, and then he resigned.
Oh, yeah. And then we had Bert Van Marquez or something.
Yeah, and so we qualified under Ange the same way, like not really impressing, finishing that third spot, beating Syria in the playoff, which we almost didn't win. They hit the post in like the 87th minute or something. My heart dropped. And then we beat Honduras. So we were lucky to get the North American. Otherwise, I think we actually may not have qualified for last World Cup as well. So that's important to remember. It's not just a Graham Arnold thing, although Ange Postecoglou had us trying to, invent this new style of play, and we've seen Ange go on to do great things with that mentality. Just didn't work for our national team at that time. We didn't have the players to really make it work. Nowadays, maybe we would, but that's the thing. All is not lost. We can beat a South American side if we get our tactics right. The question really should be, do we hang on to Graham Arnold now, or do we cut him now and get someone good in, do a Gus Hiddink again, get the best in, qualify for this World Cup? I mean, if there's a World Cup for us to miss and get a kick up the backside, Qatar is the one we don't want to play because, gross. Yeah. But I'd rather not miss a World Cup,
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess we can actually still qualify automatically. We just beat Japan and Saudi Arabia. Japan and Sydney, I think we can do it. Saudi Arabian Riyadh in front of 60,000 Saudi Arabians.
Australian teams done it before.
Yeah, I still don't know how the Wanderers achieve that, but we still can. And I probably wouldn't sack Arnold until, I guess, if we don't progress. And because I think the lowest we can finish is third. So we're going to move on, whether it's to the World Cup or the next round. And I think with those playoffs, could be the UAE, and then, we've got to be the UAE. Graham Arnold couldn't have beat them at the Asian Cup. So
was it UAE that went on to win the Asian Cup?
No, it was Qatar. I think they lost to Qatar in the semi-finals.
Okay. So they're still quite a good side. Let's be honest. It's not like we're just going to breeze past that to get to the South American side either. We've got challenges. If we can pull it off and beat Japan and Saudi, and you're right, we do have good enough players to do it. If you get Tom Rogic, in gaps where he can operate, we've seen him do it for Celtic this season so well. If we get Jamie McLaren actually firing up front, if we get these players actually doing well. The problem is they're just not getting the game time at their clubs. Rogic, thankfully, is staying fit and getting some at Celtic. McLaren is playing in the A-League. Aaron Moy is not playing. Aiden Hrustic is not playing. Jackson Irvine is playing, but he does kind of sometimes get challenged or go missing in the midfield, I think. Riley McGree could be a good option to he's going to start getting minutes. He's going to be playing regularly for Middlesbrough. Maybe he's actually a better choice in midfield over Aaron Moy at this stage because he's fit, he's getting that game time. We're just missing those players getting regular minutes in good leagues that the Japanese team is definitely getting. So, I don't know. Let's maybe transition this then into the Matildas. Because I think it fits the same theme of is it the manager? Is it the tactics, or which I guess go hand in hand, or is it actually the playing group that is the issue? I mean, first off, let's just say quarterfinals, getting knocked out by Korea, the quarterfinals of the Asian Cup it really is a disappointment. It's not good enough. It's just, we should have been in the final.
It's rubbish. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the referee had a stinker in that game, but I'm not going to in any way blame the referee for that, because I think we had enough chances. No offense to South Korea, we are the best team in Asia. There's no doubt about it. If we weren't hosting the World Cup next year, we might not even have qualified, because the semi-finalists qualify, but I think there might be one more spot available. So I don't know how they decide that. Maybe it's a playoff between the quarterfinalists. So yeah, it was crap. And I think on the broadcast, I think Chloe Lagaza was just being a bit soft with her reaction to it. And a bald fella, Harper went in. Harper went in, and rightly so. They were rubbish. We've grown to love the Matildas. The Matildas are probably our best national team in any code in Australia, and they just let us down. That was an absolute embarrassing performance. There's no excuse about it. There's no saying, oh, well, better luck next time. Well, you might not have qualified for the World Cup. It was abysmal. It was absolutely rubbish, and the only highlight out of it was that Ash Barty was playing at the same time. And because I'm watching the Matildas, I'm watching Ash Barty, I thought, well, at least there's something good to come out of this night, because they were disappointing.
Yeah, it's this thing, Tony Gustafsson, if you take away that 18-0 victory over Indonesia, he, in his, I think it's 20 games managed, has won like 4.
Yeah, something like that.
And has a negative goal difference. Like, I think he should be sacked before the World Cup. Get him out. I have not been impressed at all. I don't think his tactics are right. I don't think he makes the right decisions. And the playing squad it's got to be one of the best the Matildas have ever had, and yet they're not getting the results. Something, I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's disappointing. When you've got the second best player in the world in the women's game, and she doesn't use her left foot in something that most players know, use your back foot when it's coming across you, it's unexcusable. It really is. And you can't say, oh, the pressure. She plays in pressure week in, week out. She should be putting that away. She hit the post up the other end with, great effort, and those ones will come and go. But you can't miss those clear and obvious opportunities. And I don't think that this is what I was saying, this kind of, the Matildas just attack. But never against Korea did they stop and move the ball left to right, pull the defense out of the box and then hit them. It was just like, let's just go. And it showed some real naivety tactically. Like they're not comfortable to hold the ball, slow it down and draw a team out, which most teams knew they were good and were going to sit in their box. And yes, against the Indonesian team, you can just play those balls into the box constantly and know you're going to get there first. But when you came up against an actual defender, well, yeah, they're going to head it out all day long when a cross comes in, if it's not a good cross. So I think it just shows some real naivety tactically from Gustafsson, and it's not good enough. And we're kind of going, oh, it's okay. They really fought hard. No, it's not good enough. They
didn't fight hard enough. I'll tell you that right now.
This was supposed to be this was supposed to be a win to really push us into the World Cup. Go, here we are, Asian champions, and we've got a real chance of making the top 4, making the final of a World Cup for the Matildas on home soil. I'm really not confident going into this World Cup unless we get some of these young players in. Remy Simpson should have played way more. Courtney Vine looked fantastic every time she came on. Get these W League players who are chomping at the bit to get into that Matilda squad and change it up. Oh, also, I just miss Katrina Gorry. I mean, for me, she's one of the best Matildas, and we missed her.
Yeah, and she's just signed a contract. She's leaving Brisbane, going off to Denmark, I think. So good luck to
Wow.
her and her bub overseas.
Yeah,
That'll be exciting.
Yeah.
I say I feel like you're in agreement that Tony Gustafsson should be sacked. I'd probably agree with you because this was his really only opportunity to impress us before the World Cup, and he's let us down big time. Yeah, what else can I say?
He kept saying, don't judge me on friendlies. This is preparation. Judge me on competition mode. Well, competition mode came and you were left wanting. Yeah, an 18-0 win against Indonesia doesn't cut it.
Yeah, and I think there's still some unresolved issues around the way Stajic, was it Stajic or Milicic? I can't remember. Stajic? The way Stajic, when he got sacked, I still think there's a lot of unresolved issues. We went from a coach and a team that was playing so well that got us to the quarterfinals of a World Cup, and then it's just been disappointment after disappointment. There's issues there that haven't been solved.
And look at what he did with 4 months with the Philippines, and he's qualified them for a World Cup, and they're going to be dangerous at that World Cup.
Yep.
He's going to have that much more time to work with them and prep them. So, yeah, it is disappointing. A bit of a disappointing week all up for Australian football. Just being let down by our national teams, and it's a little unfortunate. Of course, we're going to continue to support them. That game against Japan is coming up for the Socceroos, and we have got that home World Cup.
Yeah.
So hopefully people turn up and really, we're going to get behind those teams. We want those teams to support us properly by playing good football. So that's what we want to see.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think that wraps up our chat on the Matildas and the Socceroos. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, please. Great to get that conversation going. Were you disappointed? Were you happy? If you're happy, you're clearly not Australian, so get out. No, we love you. Stick around in the comments, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff for us. And we'll see you in the next one.